going to turn it over to Mike for the demonstration. And see, so Mike's going to go through the quote to cash or order to cash process. Most organizations have that process. We're not going to give you an overview of all different parts of the software because that would take a while. But the quote to cash process gives us a chance to kind of highlight a lot of the key functionality of the software. So Mike is going to show you some of the reporting capability, the financials within that, show you neat things like drag and relate, where it's easy to get answers to business questions without having to run a report. And also a relationship map, a way to see a graphical view of transactions. So with that, Mike, I will make you presenter.
Okay, thank you, Peter. So at this point, you should be able to see SAP Business One. Can you see this okay, Peter?
Yes, yep, perfect.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, well, I'm glad everyone's here and able to see Business One. The unique thing about Business One is that it's very tailorable on a user-by-user basis. So first off, a user is only going to see the things that you've given them access to see. And that rings true in their home cockpit. When they log in, they'll only see the business process flows, the buttons that they can push, the alerts and KPIs, key performance indicators, the individual dashboards, and all of the attributes are completely controlled by user security. And so a user will only see the things that they see. And the concept of the cockpit is designed to give a user a 360-degree view of their role in the business. And it's a lot like walking up to an ATM machine. It's really that easy to use. There's no ATM training you go through to use your bank card. It's just that intuitive. In Business One is really the same approach. I've got a graphical view of my business process that I'm involved in, the buttons that I can push, messages from the bank, and so forth. So it's, again, a very user-friendly system. The cockpit itself, it's made up of several different types of widgets. And so if I hit my pencil icon here, this takes me into designer mode, where I can drag and drop and I can move these things around and add additional widgets into my desktop. And so if I hit the plus icon, you can see here that the selection of widgets, it's narrowed down to about a half a dozen choices. I can look at just dashboards, and the system itself comes with probably 50 plus dashboards, and the ability to create your own. Same with the